What is up, everyone? Happy Football Friday. It's good to be back finally. A lot of drinks to be had in NOLA, so that was fun.
Yeah. You're still recovering. I see you're having water.
Yeah, and it's going down the wrong throat as usual. The wrong.
Oof.
Anyways, a lot of stuff to cover. We'll probably run through the most of it pretty quickly, as there's a little over 14 pages of script for the show. But we'll start off with the big things. We'll start off with some of the big ones. Aaron Donald has retired, the Rams defensive tackle, Hall of Famer, most definitely.
Easy Hall of Famer.
First ballot. 2014 first rounder with the Rams, 13th overall. Was with the Rams' entire career in St. Louis and LA, 2014 to 2023. One-time Super Bowl champ with Super Bowl 56 over the Bengals. Three-time Defensive Player of the Year. There's an asterisk on that. Should not have won in 2020. TJ Watt should have won. Anyways, 2017, 18, and 20 for Aaron Donald. 2014 Defensive Rookie of the Year, 8-time First Team All-Pro, 10-time Pro Bowler, 2010s All-Decade Team. Stats-wise, regular season, 154 games, 150 of those starts, 543 tackles, 340 solos, 176 tackles for loss, 111 sacks, 260 quarterback hits, 21 pass deflections, 24 forced fumbles, 7 of them recovered, and a safety. In the playoffs, started all 11 games, 34 tackles, 19 solos, 10 tackles for loss, 6 sacks, 17 QB hits, and a pass deflection. So, yeah.
I mean, it doesn't get that much better for a decade-long resume for, in my opinion, probably the best defensive player of the 21st century. I mean, Aaron Donald had just an incredible career from start to finish. He constantly just continued to upgrade his skill set every single year. And when the Rams moved to LA, they just went through a massive identity crisis. But Aaron Donald became the identity of the Rams when they moved to LA, and he was basically the showrunner of the LA Rams. He was the reason people cared about this team. And when people think at least LA Rams, it's going to be probably the greatest defenseman of the 21st century, Aaron Donald. This guy is a first ballot Hall of Famer, no question about it. This guy is just an absolute beast in everything he did in his career. And I mean, he's going to get that jacket the second he becomes eligible for the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, for sure. Scary coming down the pipe, as Geno Smith well knows. As far as I counted, this cool graphic that came with his retirement, I counted 52 quarterbacks that he had at least a half a sack on. Russell Wilson, very thankful that Aaron Donald is gone, even though he doesn't play in the NFC West anymore, but sacked Russ the most times out of anyone, 15 on Russ of his 111 career sacks. So that alone is 13.5% of Aaron Donald's career sacks went against Russell Wilson. It's kind of crazy. He got his teammate the third most amount of sacks. Matt Stafford, he sacked 6 times. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you were a QB, you knew where he was, and then you didn't know where he was, and then he was on you. That's exactly how plays went for the guy. And I think my favorite part about Aaron Donald's career is just the screenshots of him being quadruple teamed by
Mhm.
multiple offensive lines, and it's just genuinely hilarious where they will just leave the rest of the defensive line on one lineman and just literally put four guys on him. It's my favorite image of how good a player is.
Yeah, and the Rams knew this was coming. Luckily, they got good pick last year with Kobe Turner at defensive tackle, and they'll look to try to put some more players into that defensive tackle spot with Donald now gone. Presumably, TV, maybe we'll see.
I like that.
The next big thing, I mean, you just want to roll into the trades, I guess.
Let's do it.
Yeah, we can go to the trades here. So
We have trades to announce.
there are a million trades. There were, I think, 10 I had, because we already talked about the Brian Burns trade last time we were on. But Joe Mixon, not released by the Bengals, heading to Houston. The Texans trading for the running back, 2024 seventh rounder, number 224, going back to Cincinnati. I think that's an excellent deal for Houston. They also extended him 3 years, 27, I believe, was the number there. If I can recall it correctly.
Let me look it up real quick. Yeah, 3 years, 27 million.
Oh, yeah, I have it right here. Yeah, 3 years, 27, 13 guaranteed. But yeah, I think that's a great job by Nick Caserio there in Houston, continuing to build the roster, giving CJ Stroud another weapon after Devin Singletary went to the Giants. And it's got its proven player, 1,000-yard rusher, almost perennially. And yeah, I like it. And it gets him out of the AFC North, which I'm all for.
Yeah, I think this is great for Houston. I mean, you saw that CJ Stroud is the real deal, and the first thing you want to do when you know your quarterback's a real deal is get him the weapons he deserves, and Mixon is a very good first step into getting your guy the things he needs to succeed. And only giving up a 224th pick, I mean, once you give up picks past like the 150 mark, no one cares. Yeah, this is essentially just a dump and chase, and Houston did well. I know the Bengals were going to release him, so if you're the Bengals, at least you're saying to yourself, we got something instead of nothing.
Mm-hmm.
But a little bit of me thinks you could have maybe marketed him better. It is Joe Mixon. He's had, quality, games in the past, and this last year wasn't great, but I feel like you could have gotten more if you marketed better. But it definitely feels like they just wanted him out by the draft and just took what they could get.
Well, I think for the Bengals also, the presence of Chase Brown, who improved throughout his rookie season last year, as well as Mixon's going to turn 28 coming up, I think, this year.
Mm-hmm.
So that they didn't, and they also didn't have the money with the T. Higgins situation. They got to pay Jamar soon, as well as Burrow's contract is kicking in soon as well. So all those factors on the money side also made a lot of sense for Cincy to get rid of him one way or another. And like you said, at least they got something back for him.
Yeah.
All right, next one here, Deontay Johnson heading to Carolina with the number 240th selection, a seventh rounder this year. Going back to the Steelers, corner Dante Jackson and a sixth rounder this year, number 178. Loved this trade for my two teams. Helps areas of need on both sides. Panthers desperately needing weapons for Bryce Young. They beefed up the O line. Now they get him a weapon to go along with Adam Thielen and Jonathan Mingo. Steelers, they needed someone. They needed a lot of help opposite Joey Porter Jr. Patrick Peterson was not getting it done. So they get Dante Jackson, pick swap. Neither team loses a pick. Steelers move up 62 spots. So,
yeah, I get the need. My only concern, I don't love getting rid of Deontay Jackson for the Steelers. I think I guess this means they really do believe in Pickens, and maybe they'll look to draft a wide receiver early in this upcoming draft. There's a lot of wide receiver talent in the second and third round, so maybe they're looking at this as a chance to, beef up a position of need while drafting a wide receiver to replace Deontay. I don't know. It's not a bad trade for Pittsburgh. I was just a little surprised that they moved on from Deontay. Is it a contractual thing? Is he like on the last year of his deal or something?
I can't remember, but I do know there was like talk about internal discord between him and Pickens, and him and other players as well. Hopefully that wasn't the case because Carolina with a new regime, we'll see. Don't know what kind of ship Dave Canales is going to run, but Deontay Johnson is one of the best receivers in the NFL at getting open. He's in the top 5 annually with a get open score. And so I like it a lot more for Carolina. Steelers, Dante's got to stay on the field. That's been his issue his entire career. But when he is on the field, he is pretty good. Not a, all pro necessarily, but
he's a solid rotational piece.
Yeah. And I still don't think it negates either team from drafting at the same position.
No, I definitely see this as like a situation where you're going, okay, we have bigger needs than this position. We wanted to draft other than this position high in this draft. So we shore this up. So like if you're the Panthers, you're like, okay, we got a wide receiver who's probably your number 2 wide receiver beyond Thielen, or 1A, 1B with Thielen. Probably something along those lines. And you're probably thinking, okay, we don't need to take wide receiver second if we're going to go that way, but we could use the 7th round pick on the 7th. Same with the Steelers. You can go, okay, we don't need to go cornerback early. We could get corner later in the draft because Dante Jackson is that stopgap. And then for Carolina, Deontay Johnson is that stopgap at wide receiver.
Yeah, I think for Carolina, I would still go receiver. For Carolina, it just changes. It changes. It narrows your guys that you're looking at in terms of receivers.
Yeah.
Because you have Thielen and Deontay who are more slot-oriented guys. So with Carolina now, I'm looking at bigger guys. Keon Coleman, Johnny Wilson, those type of guys would be the guys that I would be looking at. As much as I love Xavier Worthy, Lad McConkey, those guys, I think you have to go on the bigger outside X type receiver with Carolina if you're going to go one early, which I think they will, and their 2 second-round picks that they have. For Pittsburgh, I think it changes. First round, I'd still look at tackle or potentially center, and then you can try to find another corner to add later. I love Javon Bullard. He's a safety technically, but I think he's going to be a great nickel corner in the NFL. So, and also interesting note for this one, the Steelers chose to trade Deontay to the Panthers. They had other offers. One was from the Chiefs. They chose not to trade Deontay in conference, which thank you, Pittsburgh, for not doing that.
Yeah, and the thing is, too, when it comes to trading in conference, like Chiefs could have been offering a 5th, but how much more valuable is that 5th or even a 4th? Once you get to day 3, You don't really want to move day 3 picks within conference if you can help it.
I think the only thing I would have liked to see if they were going to trade him to the Chiefs would have been if you're going to go get a player, there's a guy named L'Jarius Sneed. Now it would have been,
A lot more than a 6th would have been neat.
You would have sent Deontay. You would have sent Deontay and probably a first round pick for L'Jarius Sneed, but that's the only way I would have liked. I would have been okay with him going to the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Next one, the Jets get A-Rod some help on the right side of the line. Getting Morgan Moses and a 4th, number 134 overall from the Ravens for a 4th and a 6th, 113 and 218. Another one I like. Needed to get the help for Aaron Rodgers, and they needed to shore up both tackle spots, really. But it's a solid trade.
Yeah, I like this for the Jets. I mean, the second Aaron Rodgers went down, the need became clear. You got to protect this guy. Zach Wilson had the same problem when he was quarterbacking this team. I mean, this offensive line was just awful, like really bad. And that's exactly what the Jets did here. And honestly, they didn't do too bad. They gave up an extra 6th and only moved back 21 picks in the 4th. So I think they made out really well here. If Morgan Moses obviously plays to what you hope he is, I mean, he is in his 30s, so that could be a slight concern. But if you're the Jets, you're feeling really good about this. You finally get a tackle to shore up, and you can move on from Mekhi Becton.
Yeah, Mekhi, I believe, still a free agent. But yeah, Morgan Moses experienced right tackle. So they got that. We'll talk about they got Tyron Smith as well, which we'll talk about later. But yeah, seems like as far as the Jets O line, another thing with the draft, like, all right, well, now do the Jets not go tackle at 10? Still think they should, but that's just me. Another 7th rounder. The 49ers getting some D tackle help. Eric Armstead leaving, getting released, and signing elsewhere. So the Niners getting defensive tackle Malik Collins from the Texans for a 2024 7th, 232 overall. Yeah, another one that makes sense, right?
Yeah, I like this a lot. I mean, Collins is no Eric Armstead, but he's coming off a season where he tied his career high in sacks of 5, career high in tackles. He's only 28. This is very, very good spotting of talent for the 49ers. And again, kind of like with Houston getting Joe Mixon for not much, they only gave up a 7th. So Houston essentially, did they move up or down with their 7th round pick? Because essentially they gave up Malik Collins and moved up or down in the 7th to get Joe Mixon, which is pretty good.
Well, so they
moved up.
Actually. They moved down.
Oh, they moved down.
Yeah,
it was only 8 spots.
Gave the Bengals 224 and they got 232 from the Niners. Yeah.
So they got their running back. They moved down 8 spots.
Which it doesn't matter anyways because they eventually sent this pick away.
No, that is true. I forgot about that. And our trade asset.
But yeah, it seems like it's every year we're talking about the 49ers churning their D line. You have Nick Bosa as the constant, and then everyone else is kind of just like in and out every single year. But let's go to the next one. A very rare player for player straight up That's what I try to get my fantasy trades, and then people decline them all the time.
What do you mean you won't take Rondell Moore for Justin Jefferson?
Yeah, it's just a good trade.
Come on, it's a great trade.
The Cards getting a quarterback, Desmond Ritter from the Falcons for wide receiver Rondale Moore. This one I don't like. As far as the Cardinals go,
Yeah, I don't get this for the Cardinals. I mean, you have Kyler Murray, that's your guy. I mean, I guess you just wanted a younger backup that maybe could step in if Kyler gets hurt. But I feel like you could have at least gotten a 6th-round pick to be thrown in as well. You know, because if this is Desmond Ritter and a 6th-round pick for Rondo Moore, at least we're going, all right, you got some draft, capital for this. But a 1-for-1 at, trading, obviously probably not your best wide receiver, but a productive wide receiver on your team.
He might have been the best wide receiver considering Hollywood is gone.
That is true.
Yeah,
but this makes, I don't know. It feels just Cardinals are going to Cardinal. They're that organizational league that just feels like they just can't get it together. And this trade just kind of just another, nail, mark against them. It's just, this is stuff they would do. You couldn't even get some draft capital for more along with Fritter. I'm sure you could have gotten a 6th. Are you kidding me?
So these guys are back-to-back second-round picks. Rondale Moore in 21, Desmond Ritter in 22. And I get the want to upgrade the backup quarterback because the Cardinals saw how bad they were without Kyler. However, I did still like Clayton Tune. I still think he could have been the long-term backup eventually. You would have paid him less as a 6th-round pick last year than a third-year quarterback in Desmond Ritter as a 2nd-round pick in his draft class. And you only have 2 more years of control on Ritter. So that's another issue. And again, the Cardinals, Hollywood Brown was free agent. Now they lose Rondale Moore in this trade. Michael Wilson is their best player at the wide receiver position, and he's a 2nd-year former 3rd-round pick who did play really well as a rookie last year. But the Cardinals need massive upgrades at wide receiver. They need help a lot for Kyler. They have Trey McBride at tight end, James Conner at running back, but the wide receiver cupboard is pretty bare in Arizona right now. And Atlanta, though, sure, why not? Add it to the fire with Kirk.
Yeah.
They're just like New York, where, we're getting our 30-something quarterback everything that he wants, or, try to get him protection and weapons.
Yeah. And I mean, with the Cardinals, it's like this makes it much harder to try to trade the 4th overall pick. Because obviously, I think everyone on the planet is thinking you're going to go MHJ because you don't have a receiver on this roster that's good. But could you risk trading back with a team and still get MHJ? Would you be okay with getting a Doomsday or Neighbors over when you had a chance to get MHJ? I don't know. This puts the Cardinals in kind of a tough spot.
You want a hot take on Marvin Harrison Jr.?
Uh-oh. You're going to say you have him ranked below Neighbors and Odunze, don't you?
I would take Neighbors over him right now.
Ooh.
Because I don't like how he's acted. I'm okay if you don't work out. If you don't work out at the combine, cool. That's fine. But then you don't work out at your pro day too? Like, you're really that arrogant that because of your name and because of what you have on tape, that should mean you're the number 1 wide receiver. I don't like that. So, I gave, we both kind of gave Caleb Williams flack for his late season antics, but you look, Caleb Williams working out at the USC Pro Day. Cool. Didn't work out at the combine. Great. But to not do both, I don't like that. So yeah, that's why I have Malik Neighbors over him.
Nah, I'm still taking MHJ over Neighbors. I mean, we've seen the tape. We know a neighbor.
Malik Neighbors is more explosive.
Nah, MHJ.
Well, trade up for him for the Vikings.
Nah, we're trading up for a QB.
Sam Darnold. There you go. There's you go.
Don't make that joke. It's not funny.
Well, another quarterback trade. We had 4 of them actually go down in between our shows. Sam Howell on the move. He is also headed to the NFC West. The Seahawks get Howell a 4th rounder, number 102, and a 6th, number 179, from the Commanders for a 3rd, number 78, and a 5th, 152. You like this trade, getting Geno and possibly the quarterback of the future for Seattle in Sam Howell?
I don't see him as QB of the future. I see this more as training camp competition for Geno Smith. I like Washington getting pretty good value for Sam Howell. It became pretty clear about halfway through last season that Sam Howell was just not your guy going forward. And moving up, trading a 4th and a 6th for 3rd and 5th, essentially just moving up, 24 spots from the 4th to the 3rd, and then moving up 27 spots. Yeah, 27 spots from the 6th to the 5th. I think that's good asset management. I don't think this is a bad trade for Seattle. It's just moving back in the draft and getting a guy for Geno to compete with in training camp. But I don't see Howell as anything more than what we've seen. I don't really believe in him.
And the Commanders now have bank. Dude, they have 6 top 100 selections because of their trades with Montez Sweat, Sam Howell, and Chase Young. So they have a lot of capital with 9 picks overall. So I'm very interested to see what they do in the first 2 days of the draft, because they've already spent some money and they have draft capital to greatly improve their roster around a young quarterback. But yeah, I like it. I think it's going to be good for Sam to sit a little bit, learn from Geno, who's been through it in this league, and we'll see. The Bears getting a weapon for presumably Caleb Williams. Keenan Allen headed to the Windy City. The Chargers getting a 4th rounder, number 110, back for it. I hated this trade. We were on the pub crawl when this trade dropped. That was before I didn't remember anything, right? Anyways, I hated it right when I looked at it. I was like, bro, a 4th for Keenan Allen? Are you kidding me? Then when I looked at it, though, I was like, all right, man's 30 years old. The high cap hit makes a ton of sense for LA. Shed the cap space, restart at the wide receiver position. Hopefully, Herbert is none for the worse.
Yeah, this really clears out the offensive talent in Los Angeles. I like this trade for the Bears. I like it a lot. I mean, even at 31 years old last year, Keenan Allen was a Pro Bowler, put up over 1,200 receiving yards. He had a great catch rate. This is a guy that you could pair with DJ Moore and give a rookie quarterback just a lot of options. And when I think Keenan Allen, I really do think safety blanket receiver. I think of a wide receiver that a QB like Herbert has used him a lot throughout his career. It's like, okay, that explosive play wasn't there. There's Allen. I can throw it in his general direction and he'll give me the yards I need. So I like this a lot for the Bears. For Los Angeles, as you mentioned, fourth round pick isn't great on return, but with the cap hit that Keenan commanded, this is just an ability for the Chargers to hit that hard reset button with a new head coach that wants to bring in his philosophy to building up the Chargers. And this is one of those difficult but obvious moves that rebuilding teams need to make.
Yeah, when you look at it on the Bears side, I mean, the cupboard's stocked for Caleb Williams. DeAndre Swift at running back, Keenan Allen, DJ Moore at wide receiver, Cole Kmet at tight end. Got to fix a little bit on the offensive line, but other than that, I mean, they're good on the offensive side of the ball, pretty much.
This is a very good situation for a QB to be walking into. Especially a rookie QB in a franchise that just has not been able to correctly develop rookie wide receivers. They're doing everything they can to make up for franchise mistakes, and this is a really good trade in working towards that.
Your Vikings getting a first-round pick.
Woo!
First rounder, number 23 overall, coming over from Cleveland through Houston. Seventh rounder as well, number 232, the pick they got from the Niners from Lee Collins. Texans get 42, second rounder, sixth rounder, 188, and a second next year. Go ahead.
I like this. I think this kind of indicates that Kwesi definitely wants to trade up, and he's getting assets to do it. I think he's looking at teams like, the Patriots, the Chargers, maybe Arizona, and going, all right, I can offer you 2 first-round picks this year, and I still have my first-round pick next year, and I can offer that. The only thing that worries me is that if you make that trade, obviously next year you won't have a draft pick until the 3rd round. But if you get your guy at wide receiver, quarterback, this is the kind of stuff you have to do. And this is a QB heavy class. We don't really know much about next year's quarterback class. So I like this trade a lot. They didn't give up too much to move back into the first round. I mean, move back in this from their 6th and give up 2 seconds for a first. I like it. This is a kind of trade where you look at it and you go, no matter what happens, it's hard to see it as a loss for the Vikings, because if they use it to, if they use it to trade up, that's great. If they can't find a trade partner, hey, you have 2 first-round picks that you could effectively use, which is also something that could be interesting. I see this more as gathering out first-round assets to trade, so that's kind of where I am mentally. But it's a good trade regardless.
Yeah, it's definitely perks the ears up for sure. One thing I will say, the Vikings, they're at a decent spot. They had 9 picks this year. Like you said, next year though, if you trade all 3 first, you're not picking until the 3rd next year, and you're not picking until the 4th this year. No day 2 picks currently for the Vikings this year now. So that's interesting. You got to make your day 3 work. That's where you find the best scouting departments. But, overall, you would be left with 5 picks next year if you traded those first. So yeah, I mean, I like it. I really like it for the Texans a lot more. Would it be nice to have a first round pick? Yeah. Especially after they, traded theirs away. However, they now have 3 day 2 picks, 42, 59, and 86, to go along with 8 total selections. They add another second rounder next year, so that gives them 7 picks total. So it's solid, and I think the trade value works. I didn't actually look at the trade chart, but yeah. And I forgot to say about the draft picks for the Bears trade, the Keenan Allen thing. That was interesting on the Bears side in that regard because with the Keenan Allen trade, that leaves them with 4 picks this year. They do not have a lot of capital. Obviously, the 2 top 10 are a thing that gets you number 1, number 9. But then they pick at 75 and 122, and they're out. However, though, next year they have a lot of capital. They have 9 picks next year, including 2 second rounders. Another quarterback trade. Who would have thought? The Eagles getting a backup for Jalen Hurts, Kenny Pickett, and a 4th rounder, number 120, going to Philly from the Steelers for a 3rd, number 98, and 2 7ths next year. I like it for both sides. I mean, I didn't see it coming, not to the Eagles, anyways. I kind of thought maybe Kenny would get moved. I still thought he had a chance to compete with Russ, especially because he is still on a rookie deal. However, the Eagles, which is nice, they get away with having a backup that they didn't have to sign to a veteran contract. And, they moved down quite a bit, but to still get a pick back. And they had 4 7th round picks in 2025. So taking 2 of them away is perfectly fine. Howie Roseman strikes again, man.
Yeah. Yeah, this is the kind of trade a lot of teams make for backup quarterbacks. And hey, Arizona, this is how you trade for a backup quarterback. This is how you're supposed to do it. You get at the very least an asset back in terms of draft capital. Like, again, I just bringing it back to Arizona. Like we saw two teams address a backup quarterback situation in 2 completely different ways. One did it correctly, one did not.
Yeah, I think what the Eagles saw once they saw the Sam Howell trade, I think them and the Steelers were like, or the Steelers really were like, well, Sam Howell went for a 3rd, man, and he was a former 5th round pick. We got a former 1st round pick, so maybe we get a little bit extra value.
Yeah, it's like we need a little bit of a sweetener here,
Yeah, although the Commanders got 20 picks higher because of the Seahawks pick, but yeah, I still am high on Kenny. I think he can still work. Again, just like Sam Howell, though, I think it's going to be very, very good for him to sit, kind of reset in a new location. And I think, although Jalen Hurts is still pretty young, he's played a lot of games in the last couple of years with the Eagles playoff runs. So,
yeah, we've seen a little bit of health concerns with Hurts as well. So you definitely need that guy where you can go, all right, Hurts is hurt. He just needs to sit out for a game. And I think that was one thing the Eagles last year, they weren't willing to give Hurts a game. And getting Pickett is like, okay, we can give Pickett a game. We can say, like, all right, you're our starting quarterback for 1 week because Hurts is a little banged up. Go out there and, just play through the system. I think that was a problem with the Eagles last year, and I think it really cost them.
But it also is a change in the system for Philly. Kellen Moore coming over. You see what they have now at the backup position has to make me think Jalen's not running the ball as much because behind him there are 2 pocket passers. Kenny Pickett, who has mobility, but is, traditionally a pocket passer. And then Tanner McKee, who they drafted in the 6th round last year, is also on the roster. Definitely a pocket passer with mobility. Neither even close to the runner that Jalen is. So I think it's kind of indicative of what Kellen kind of wants to do and try to keep Jalen in the pocket more, while calling runs less than what they did under Brian Johnson.
Mhm. Yeah.
And the final one, another quarterback, Justin Fields to Pittsburgh. The Bears get a 2025 conditional 6th-round pick. It will become a 4th-round pick if he plays 51% or more of the snaps. I love this. The Steelers have made out like thieves this offseason at the quarterback position. You know, they got the 3rd round, 2/7 for Kenny, and then they give up a 6th next year, not this year, next year for Justin Fields. And they're paying Russell Wilson the veteran minimum. So they literally have no strings attached on these two quarterbacks, Russ and Justin Fields. They can get out on both next year and be like, cool, we're resetting. We're going to draft Quinn Ewers in the 1st round.
Yeah, this makes me laugh because I just remember Bears fans all offseason being like, all right, we're going to get back a 1st-round pick for Fields. We're going to get back a 2nd-round pick for Fields. It's like, no, you weren't. You never were. Like, I don't know where this idea of you guys getting a 1st-round pick back for Justin Fields ever came from. He never showed it. And with teams, making it obvious they didn't care for Fields, like my biggest thing was that the Patriots decided to sign Jacoby Brissett at $2 million more per year than Justin Fields' current contract over trading for Justin Fields. That to me was like, yeah, you're not going to get anything more than maybe a late day 3 pick for him, and you should be okay with that.
I do think there were teams that were offering more. I think probably the highest offer was maybe a 4th. However, the Bears and GM Ryan Poles, they wanted to do right by him. Mm-hmm. The other teams that were offering higher picks, Justin said, no, I don't want to go to those teams. I want to go somewhere that I can win. And so when the Steelers came in, he's like, yeah, like Tomlin doesn't lose. So, and I mean, the Steelers, everyone's saying like, oh, Justin Fields is going to be the starter. He's going to win the job. I'm like, no, he's not. For one, because he sucks as a passer. And for 2, because the Steelers literally came flat out and said, Russell Wilson is our starter. So unless Russ gets hurt, it's going to be Russ's team, which I think is perfectly fine. I think personally I'm going to like Russell Wilson in Arthur Smith's offense. Play action, run the ball with Najee and Jalen Warren. That's what Russell Wilson won a Super Bowl doing in Seattle. So,
yeah, I mean, and this is a perfect place for Fields to just sit and wait, because now the expectations on Fields are gone. You're with the Steelers. You know what you're coming into. You're coming into to be a backup. You're going to learn behind Russell Wilson, a guy who you should probably become like. That is like that is the pinnacle of like your skill set. You should learn under the guy who's like the pinnacle of what your skill set can be. So, and again, it's a conditional pick. I don't think the Steelers are going to be looking to move that pick up to the 4th round. I think they're going to avoid giving him game time just because, well, not just because, but because A, he's probably not ready. He's still raw. He's always been raw of Chicago. That was the whole thing. Chicago just refused to let him develop, and he was raw the entire time. So he gets to develop. And also, with the Steelers, you're thinking, okay, we can really make sure this conditional pick does not move up.
Yeah, and I didn't really think about the pick moving when I was talking to different people about, I if I'm Arthur Smith, I would put a package in every week for Justin Fields. I would run him at the goal line. It's a great option to have. The QB run game, because he's so big and he can power in. Run QB power, run QB sweep. Najee Harris out front blocking, like it doesn't get much better than that. So yeah, maybe West Side push like you said before, Jimmy.
It could work. I mean,
But yeah, that's what I would do anyways. Justin Fields, while he's sitting on the bench, why not utilize him?
yeah, why don't you just have Najee Harris just get a couple handful of cheek and throw him over that offensive line?
All right. I think that's all the headlines really. Aaron Donald is the only news thing that I really had for headlines wise. Let's go to the UFL. So the league announced officially the UFL championship will be held in St. Louis at the Dome on June 16th. See, might try to get there. I don't know, maybe. But yeah, excellent atmosphere in the Dome. St. Louis has one of the best, if not the best, fan base in spring football. So makes a lot of sense. Transactions wise, the Showboats, they waived quarterback Cole Kelly, started, I believe, 7 games for them last year. Jim Kelly's nephew, I think it is. No, that's Chad Kelly. Never mind. Thinking of the wrong Kelly. Anyways, Cole Kelly, good player though. Hopefully he lands on his feet. The Showboats replaced him with former Michigan Panthers starting quarterback Josh Love, which I really like. Also, like I said, started a bunch of games last year for Michigan, got them to the USFL playoffs, where they lost to the Maulers, but pretty good quarterback there, San Jose State guy. My DC Defenders, they signed a familiar face back, tight end Alex Ellis. Getting him back in the fold, I like that. He was not as big of a weapon as the other tight end that they had, Briley Moore, last year, but still a serviceable guy that can play in the rotation. The Houston Roughnecks, they signed safety Jeremiah Johnson and offensive tackle Natai Rogers. Johnson, really excellent player there, played for the Houston Gamblers, which, again, is the Houston Roughnecks now, last year. So I think Coach Phillips is going to like him a lot. Or not Coach Phillips. Coach Johnson is the Roughnecks. Wade coaches the Brahmas now. Yeah, that's right. The Stallions, they claimed corner Isaiah Zuber off waivers from the Roughnecks. Very versatile guy, can play wide receiver, can play corner, can return kicks. He literally does everything. So it's an interesting one there for Birmingham. The Roughnecks, they claimed defensive end Carlo Kemp off the waivers from the Stallions. So kind of exchanging players there in the waiver system. But Carlo Kemp, another former Houston Gambler there, excellent season last year. Played for the Philadelphia Stars, I believe, last year, though. Pretty solid defensive end. The Battlehawks, they got some big signings this week. Corner Michael Wright, former Oregon Duck there. Corner Channing Stribling. He was an all USFL with Philadelphia Stars, has been in and out of the spring system for a couple years now. This man is a ball hawk, so St. Louis got a good one. And then offensive tackle Tayton Saltace, former Arlington Renegade there. Another big piece there for St. Louis. The Michigan Panthers, they re-signed quarterback Brian Lewerke. So they released him a little bit ago. Got him back, former Michigan State quarterback, back home in Detroit. And the Stallions, they signed for a first-round pick, defensive end Taco Charlton, heading to Birmingham. So NFL experience there for Birmingham, and we'll see if Taco makes it on the field with the Stallions there. Other news here, the Stallions losing a big piece in the middle of their defense. Linebacker Chris Orr has retired. Great player with the New Jersey Generals for the last couple of seasons. He is headed to greener pastures there. Couple quarterback battles being finished here. The Renegades, Coach Stoops announcing Luis Perez will be their starting quarterback. No surprise there. Took the Arlington Renegades to the XFL championship game last year and won it. So really no surprise there. Luis Perez back as the Renegades starting quarterback for 24. The Roughnecks made an interesting one. I think they have one of the weaker quarterback rooms throughout the UFL, but Coach Johnson did announce quarterback Jarrett Garantano will be the starter, and they're going to have to mix in the second and third guys because the QB2 spot hasn't been decided yet. Nolan Henderson, Reed Sinnett, both still fighting for the QB2 job. But in terms of the starter, Jarrett Garantano, former Tennessee Volunteer, big arm. However, a little inconsistent there. So again, I think Houston's quarterback situation is very interesting. Nolan Henderson, former Delaware Blue Hen, never really doesn't have a lot of pro experience. Has been with the Ravens practice squad before. Reed Sinnett, though, guy that does have NFL starting experience, started for the Dolphins a couple games 2 years ago, and I think started for the Jets. I think this past year, one game. I think can't recall, but he's been around. Big news. This one literally could change the UFL this year. Defenders running back Abram Smith, believed to have torn his ACL, going to be out for the year. Horrendous news for probably what would have been the best player in the league, fighting and battling for Offensive Player of the Year, if not MVP. So I hate that for a lot for DC. But, got to move on. Jordan Ta'amu, luckily, still at the helm at the quarterback position. So see how DC pivots here with 8 days to go till the season opener. And a couple guys getting placed on IR. The Brahmas placing corner Quincy Wilson on IR, former NFL starter there, lost to their secondary. And the Stallions placing defensive lineman Willie Yarberry on IR. Key player last year for them. Has been around spring football for a couple years as well. And currently we're in the cut to 50. I don't know the exact date on when teams have to get down to 50. But I have 6 of the 8 teams. I've seen cuts from those. And just to name some key players that have been cut from each of the 6 that I have. The Renegades, just wanted to mention running back Devin Darrington, former Orlando Guardian last year. Pretty good player there. The Defenders, safety Kentrell Bryce, linebacker Jordan Evans, wide receiver Jazz Ferguson, defensive end Tariqius Tisdale, defensive end Tim Ward, who has been subsequently claimed by the Brahmas, and then running back Zaquandre White. I thought Zaquandre White was going to be the guy to replace Abram Smith because they had just signed him like a week before cuts and did not end up keeping him on the roster. The Kentrell Bryce thing, though, and Tim Ward. Those were the two most important cuts there. Ward was excellent with Houston Gamblers last year. Surprise cut there. And Kentrell Bryce had been with the Defenders the last couple of seasons and played well in the back end for them. So kind of surprising on that one. For the Roughnecks, offensive tackle Jair Joseph, defensive end Isaiah Chambers, and safety Manny Bunch. Again, the safety is one I see as the biggest one of those three. Manny Bunch played very well for the Houston Gamblers last two seasons. I'm sure he will have offers elsewhere. Birmingham Stallions, wide receivers Slade Bolden, wide receiver Myron Mitchell, center Cole Cabral, defensive end Henri St. Amour, and safety Bubba Bolden. Henri St. Amour, I was very shocked at that one. Excellent player with the New Orleans Breakers the last two seasons. I'm thinking he's going to land in Memphis because that's where Coach DeFilippo went after they shut down the New Orleans team, and now he is the head coach with Memphis. So I'm sure Coach Flip will be making a call to Henri there. Hopefully he can get him in a Showboats uniform before the season. The Brahmas, just want to talk about wide receiver Jordan Vesey. Played very well for the Seattle Sea Dragons last year. Another wide receiver on the open market. For the Battlehawks, wide receiver Stephen Mitchell Jr., offensive tackle Dallas Warmack, defensive tackle Kevin Atkins, and linebacker Drew Lewis. Kevin Atkins was the most surprising of those four. Stalwart on the St. Louis D-line. Big space eater with pass rush upside. So, yeah, that was a surprising one for me for the Battlehawks there. On to college football. So, the college football playoff has a new contract. It is through 2031. I believe, as far as I remember it right. Yeah, 2031, 32. And buku bucks because 6-year, $7.8 billion. Yeah. I don't know why this article says million because it's not. It's billion. The most interesting thing is the disparity in money. The Big Ten and SEC, they are both going to get 21 million, I believe, per year. Yeah, $21 million per year for the Big Ten and SEC schools that make, that's a lot. Up $5.5 million from where they were in the last CFP contract. The ACC is the next one up. Them, the Big 12, the ACC is next up. They're going to get 13 million. The Big 12 and Notre Dame are both getting 12 million. And then the group of 5 schools, they are going to get just under 1.8 million. So, I mean, you want to divide this the FBS even more between Power 5 and Group of 5. I mean, there you go. It's all about the money. I think the most interesting thing with this contract was the Pac-12, who currently only has Washington State and Oregon State as members. $360,000.
Damn.
Yeah. So that was a big slap in the face. They're getting treated as independents. The Pac-12 originally got between 6 and 7 million per school. So, I mean, that's rough. That is very rough for Washington State and Oregon State in this new deal. But I mean, I don't know why they haven't. They need to do something. They need to either move, go somewhere else, delete the Pac-12, or get schools to come up from the FCS, and I don't know. But yeah, the money thing was crazy. But it's based off past performance pretty much. Transfer portal, a couple guys to note. UCLA wide receiver Kyle Ford and Miami, Florida running back Henry Parrish. They have both entered the portal. Ford's a pretty solid player. Maybe he'll follow his head coach to Ohio State, Chip Kelly.
Maybe. Won't mind it.
The most interesting transfer portal situation going on right now. Iowa offensive tackle Caden Proctor has transferred back to Alabama. Transferred to Iowa this offseason. Back to Bama now from once he came. And it's just like, bro, like, what are you doing, bro? Like, how are you going to stay at Iowa for a couple months and then say, nah, going back to Tuscaloosa?
The dude wanted to see Caitlin Clark blow out. I can't blame him that much. Dude saw her and was like, I need to see this. I need to see this in person. He transferred, saw some good women's basketball, and transferred back.
Again, though, it's very, I think, if the NCAA weren't already in a big shit show legally, I think there's got to be something very fishy going on with the whole Caden Proctor situation. There's no way you transfer out from a school and then transfer back from the school in the same calendar year or in a calendar year. I wouldn't really say that if it was going to a different school. But the fact that he came back to the same school from when he just transferred from a couple months earlier, that looks weird. Just saying. All right, let's go to NFL news. We have another retirement to talk about. I think a little bit more important than Aaron Donald, just saying. Steelers fullback Derek Watt has retired. The second Watt brother to leave the NFL now. He didn't play in 2023. He wasn't on a roster. But was the Chargers 2016 sixth round selection, number 198 overall. Played in San Diego and LA from 2016 to 19 and played with the Steelers 2020 to 2022. 3 career touchdowns for DW there. And good career, Derek. Love the fullbacks.
Dying breed. Not the first ballot Hall of Famer that his fellow retiring compatriot and fellow Watt brother is. But hey, I remember watching him. He was always very solid. And for a 6th round pick, having, what was it, a 7-year career? 7-year career.
7, yeah.
Yeah, 7-year career. Hey, that's pretty solid. So congrats on a good career. Hang out with JJ in his house gym.
On his farm.
Yeah.
You seen the commercials?
Oh, yeah. Dude, the Watt Farm is going to be I'm not kidding. It is going to be a reality TV show once TJ retires. And heck, they might even start it beforehand. It's the Watt Farm. We're gonna get it on TBS. Calling it now.
Dude, to be honest, Derek is a lost gem because he has personality just like JJ and TJ do.
Yeah, he just plays out of position where you don't really get the spotlight.
Yeah, but I will say though, he was integral part of the Steelers special teams unit as well. Played on those units that were pretty good in his 3 years in Pittsburgh. So, all right, let's talk about rules. Rule proposals. So we have the NFL league meetings coming up. I think next week, and so the couple of team proposals here, and then I have a couple of other ones that I didn't get teams for. But the Lions, they propose the ability to challenge a third time after just one successful challenge.
I don't like it. I'm tired of challenges. They take way too long and break up the events on the field. And I think they're so ticky tacky that just giving a team an ability to challenge a third time, I would hate that. I hope this gets strike down.
See, I get why though. What a better rule would be though is you should continue to get challenges if you continue to get them right. So keep the current rule where you have two, and then if you get both right, you get a third. But then if you get the third one right, you should be able to continue to have a challenge.
See, I could get behind that. I think you have to go 2 for 2 though. Like you have to be perfect.
Yeah.
That makes more sense. I want to get challenges kind of out of the game. I feel like it's way too prevalent.
Well, I can tell you, I don't want it to become hockey's challenge. I don't like hockey's challenge rule.
They're so bad. They're genuine because with hockey, it's such a fast-paced sport, and challenges are so ticky-tacky. And they take so long.
Like, bro, one game and then you get penalized if you get it wrong.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of like that rule because it prevents teams from over challenging or challenging things they're not certain of. But yeah, it's like for me, it's like challenges should not take crews more than 2 minutes. It should be challenge, stop clock 2 minutes, go. You got 2 minutes. That's it. I'm tired of sitting around for like 10, maybe even 15 minutes on challenges, and they're like, we got to make sure we can see that one pixel on the frame. And it's like, my God, if you can't tell, don't touch it.
It's why you go the XFL route where they have booth reveal for every single play.
Honestly, just always have a crew checking every play.
Yeah.
And just assume there might be something checked on every play.
Yeah, that's what the XFL did.
It's smart. I like it.
The Eagles, couple proposals from Philly. The first one is eliminating the first touch spot after the receiving team possesses the ball. So I like that. Talking about punts, I believe, where the kicking team touches the ball and then there's no penalty for the receiving team if they pick the ball up and run and lose yards behind that first touch spot. So I like that. It definitely, you shouldn't be able to just pick the ball up and run and not be penalized the yardage that you would lose if you didn't touch the ball and you would get the ball spotted back where the kicking team first touched it. So I kind of like that one. And then the big one, the Eagles, also 4th and 20 alternative onside kick from your own 20-yard line. How do we feel?
I don't know. I liked this rule a few years ago. I like the idea of it, but I feel like in practice it just won't work. I think the better thing would be to like try to tinker with onside kicking, but I don't like the idea of forcing the defense to go back onto the field to make one more stop. I think there's a better way of getting the ball back after a possession, and I think it probably has to do with tinkering with the onside kick rule. But I feel like it's an overreaction. I think they're seeing like, oh, the rates of successful recoveries on onside kicks is going down. I have to do something. It's like, no, I don't think that's cause for concern.
Well, yeah, but like also it's what's the most important position in the NFL in football? It's quarterback. So why are we paying all these quarterbacks this much money if we got to give our kicker, we got to get the ball back, and we can't get the ball back to our quarterback because our kicker has almost 0% chance of getting the ball on an onside kick.
I don't know. I don't think that's a good enough justification for taking away the onside kick. I think taking away more from special teams will hurt this sport. And as important as the QB position is, it's better for the sport to make it not just the only position that counts.
The Colts, they propose to allow a coach to challenge or the replay booth inside of 2 minutes to review any foul that has been called. So
no, this sounds more of just the whole pass interference thing when they made pass interference challengeable and then it didn't do anything.
But instead of that, though, this is going back more to also the spring leagues, XFL, where you had one challenge per game and you could challenge anything you want. Granted, that was whether it was called or not called. You could create a penalty with that. This says if it has been called, you can challenge it. So I don't really think it would be utilized as much, though, if they did pass that in terms of challenges anyways. The replay booth might, but I think because they already knew the history with the pass interference thing and how bad it was, I think this would be different because it's tough more often than not to overturn a call on the field. This, I think, is more talking about roughing the passer.
Yeah, but again, I feel like roughing the passer is kind of like penalized in the same way pass interference is. It's kind of the discretion of the referee.
Yeah.
That's my problem is because the main purpose of their challenges are going to be challenging calls that are mostly calls that are discretionary calls by the officiants. It's not going to be like offsides or false starts. It's going to be like roughing the passer, holding, pass interference, stuff that could go one way or the other based on who the ref crew is. And I don't think that's worth it. I think if the ref's going to miss it or make the wrong call, you got to live with it.
I think the difference is that roughing the passer is less of an occurrence than pass interference is, just in terms of number of calls.
And true, but my argument doesn't go to number of occurrences, more just the type of penalty it is.
No, yeah. The next one is they're proposing the XFL's kickoff rule to change the kickoff. So in terms of that, the kicker would line up at their own 35-yard line. The other 10 players on the kickoff team and at least 9 from the kickoff return team, they would line up at the 40-yard line, at the receiving team's 40-yard line, 5 yards apart.
I'm a fan.
And then The kicker has to kick the ball in between the goal line and the 20-yard line in the landing zone. Touchbacks, if you kick a touchback or if you kick the ball out of bounds, touchbacks go to the 35. No fair catches allowed by the returner.
I'm a fan. I really like the XFL's rules, and we've seen the effectiveness of their kickoffs in terms of creating plays and avoiding injuries. Because those are the big things that are holding back the NFL's kickoff. Right now, you're just not getting plays because people aren't bringing it out, and the reason they made a lot of rule changes was because there was too many injuries. The XFL rules, I think, satisfies both camps. It's avoided injuries to special teamers while also creating plays. Where was the kickoff from for them in this one?
Their own 35.
I would move it back 5 yards just because of the skill of NFL kickers. Maybe move it back to the 30.
I mean, it's still tough though because you got to kick it inside. You got to go in between the goal line and the 20. You have to place it down in there.
True, but my whole thing is like NFL kickers are so used to kicking it through the back of the end zone that they're going to just be inclined to boot it as hard as they can. So giving them that extra 5 yards of buffer, I'm not worried of them like shorting it. I don't think that's a big issue of NFL kickers. My big concern is, this will help prevent kicking it through the end zone or into the end zone.
Well, I will say there were a couple instances though, XFL, that teams got penalties on the extra point plays. And then they were moved back 15 to the 20-yard line, and the kicker couldn't get it down there. And then they got it. And then they got a penalty. They got to put it at the 35-yard line because they couldn't get it in there.
Yeah, that would be tough.
Because then if you get a 15-yarder on the extra point play, then you're moving it back to the 15-yard line, and there's no way in hell you're going to get it down.
I suppose if you move it back due to penalties, you would move the rules back. So, like, if it's a 15-yard penalty on the extra point, you move the rules so instead of like from the goal line to the 20, it's to the goal line to the 35, and then you move the line of players correspondingly 15 yards back as well.
That negates the penalty.
No, because you still will get the better field position because the kicker is kicking.
But the whole point of the penalty is that the kicker can't make it that far, and so then you get the 35-yard, you get the touchback at the 35 instead of possibly getting a return and getting inside the 35-yard line.
I don't know.
But anyway,
I still like the XFL rules. I feel like that would definitely be fleshed out. That would definitely have to be something that would be fleshed out more. But the thing is with the NFL too, we were talking about extra point penalties. The XFL has a completely different extra point system that causes more penalties. So maybe that would be an issue that would be avoided better by the NFL because they have a strict 1 to 2 point extra point, while the XFL has different plays. So maybe that issue wouldn't become as apparent in the NFL because of our extra points. So I don't know.
I'm writing a paper on kickoffs. So
nice.
But yeah, anyways, this would try to quell the kickoff rates, like you said. 21.7% last year were returned. So very far down from where they used to be. 90% in the XFL were returned. So yeah. 2 more rules here. Someone wants a review of the passer being out of bounds or down by contact prior to a throw. Looking at you, Josh Allen. But I think that's a good one. I think to have an automatic review on that would be perfectly fine. It's probably going to be a quick one, especially out of bounds. I think is easier to look at than down by contact. But I think having that be an automatic review or even challengeable. I think that'd be good. I like that.
Yeah.
And the final one here is a review of the game clock expiration prior to snap. I love that rule. Let's challenge it. Let's be able to challenge the freaking game clock expiring before the snap, because quarterbacks get off way too easily. The rule is way too lenient for the refs nowadays. I like it. Because why can you review 12 men on the field, but you can't review the clock before the snap? That doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I gotta agree there. I feel like there's so many times where I'm watching a game, I see the clock expire. It's like, hello, this is objective. This isn't like pass interference. This is objective here. They ran out of time.
Yeah. All right. Other general news here: the Lions, they signed head coach Dan Campbell and GM Brad Holmes to extensions through 2027. Of course, why not? Good. Love the signing.
Great signings for them.
Move on. The NFL is investigating both the Eagles and the Falcons for tampering with running back Saquon Barkley, quarterback Kirk Cousins, free agency. Okay.
I think it's only fair that the Vikings get the 8th overall pick from the Falcons. It's only fair. It's only fair.
There is no indemnification for teams.
Don't.
The teams will just lose picks.
Yeah, to me.
No.
Vikings.
No. What I would like to see is Auburn start picking this lead up a little bit more. The 49ers, talking about losing picks. They lost some picks in their payroll issue that occurred. They are forfeiting their 5th round pick next year and moving their 4th round pick, number 131, down to 135 this year. And that was because there was payroll accounting errors at the end of the 2022 league year that resulted in a misreporting of the club's cumulative player compensation. Didn't affect the cap. They said they would have still been under the cap. And there was no salary cap circumvention attempt made, which is the bigger issue that could have possibly resulted. And the Cardinals apparently open for business at number 4, kind of like you said earlier.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't think they want to trade back too far because I still think they're in market for a top-end wide receiver. So I don't see them trading into the double digits because I still think they really either would really like to walk out of the first round with either MHJ or Neighbors. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of don't really get it. Like, they don't need picks. Well, they have 11 picks already, including 2 first rounders.
Yeah.
They only have 6 picks next year. They traded their 7th rounder, but I mean, yeah, I don't really understand the need to. It would have to be like the Vikings trade we were talking about. 2 or 3 first round picks, like plus maybe like a late round, That's the only thing I would, depending on how far you move back, obviously, like I said. Restructures, we'll run through these real quick. The Bills restructuring Josh Allen, most of his 24 salary into a signing bonus, 16.7 mil for Buffalo. Dolphins doing defense tackle Zach Seiler, fullback Alec Ingold, tight end Durham Smythe, and corner Jalen Ramsey, 28.78 million. Broncos defensive lineman Zach Allen and guard Ben Powers, 20 million there. Chiefs they're going down the road already. They restructured Patrick Mahomes, $21.6 million in savings, but I'm telling you, you can't do that every year because Chiefs are going to be sorely sorry if they do that every single year. They're going to turn into the Saints, essentially, because that's what happened to the Saints. They restructured Drew Brees almost like every year the last like 5 years of his career, and they got screwed on the cap end at the end.
Yeah, at some point, these teams are going to have to bite the bullet on certain cap hits on certain years, or else you're going to be paying millions of dollars to players that aren't on your team.
Yeah, you can't keep moving it back. Speaking of the Saints, they restructured right tackle Ryan Ramczyk, $6.5 million guaranteed for him in 24 now. The 49ers doing a couple. Fullback Kyle Juszczyk, that cleared $1.75 million, and George Kittle also clearing $10 million in space for San Fran. The Chargers, they got both of their guys back. So the big deal with the Chargers was we thought that, okay, at least two of Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Khalil Mack, Joey Bosa are going to be gone. But they lost the receivers, did not lose either pass rusher for them, though. So Coach Harbaugh keeps his defense intact for now. And I don't think I can find. Oh, here we go. So, $23.75 million. Or that was what Khalil Mack was originally due. He took a pay cut down to $19 million. Also has a non-tag clause now next in 2025 for Khalil Mack. And Joey Bosa took a pay cut from 22 to 15 million, fully guaranteed salary this year, can earn back 4 million in sack incentives, 8.36 million roster bonus that was already or that's due on the third day of the 2025 league year, and that was increased to 12.36 million and moved to the first day of the league year next year. So 2025 now becomes the interesting year for the Chargers pass rushers. The Cowboys, they restructured Dak Prescott, $4 million in savings there. Dolphins doing edge rusher Bradley Chubb, $11 million in savings. And the Giants doing defense tackle Dexter Lawrence, $7.5 million in savings there. Releases. The Raiders, they released wide receiver Hunter Renfrow. So that was just a horrendous situation in Vegas. Signed a big deal, $100 million a couple of years ago. Never had anything even remotely close to that season in 2021. And yeah, he's looking for work. The Bengals released safety Nick Scott. He landed on his feet today. The Panthers signed him to a one-year deal, so getting some help on the defense for Ejiro Evero, his former defensive coordinator in LA with the Rams. The Ravens, they released linebacker Tyus Bowser, $5 million savings for Baltimore. Saints, wide receiver Michael Thomas is gone. Post June 1 cuts, $1.2 million in savings in 2024. He's going to Denver.
Has to.
Yeah. The Ravens, they released wide receiver Odell Beckham Jr. post June 1 cut as well. Your Vikings declined to tender running back Cam Akers as a restricted free agent. So he has been a free agent since the league year started. Did he have
I was going to say, after Aaron Jones was signed, they trust Jones and Chandler, so they're moving on. And he's coming off a bad injury too. So
Cardinals, they released left tackle DJ Humphries. So presumably Paris Johnson Jr. switching from right to left tackle this offseason, and then Cards will try to get a right tackle in the draft or elsewhere. The Jets, they released wide receiver Corey Davis, and they had to release him because he has applied for reinstatement to the NFL from retirement. So there you go, Minnesota Vikings.
I don't know.
Hey, you need receiver depth. So just saying.
Yeah, yeah. After losing out on our third wide receiver, I wouldn't mind him, but I don't think he would be the number 3 receiver going into the season.
The Cowboys, they released wide receiver Michael Gallup post June 1 cut there, $9.5 million savings in 2024. They also released linebacker Leighton Vander Esch. He is medically retiring, unfortunately. The neck stinger he got this year never healed right. He's had neck injuries for forever, it seems like. So Leighton Vander Esch retiring there. Titans, they released offensive tackle Andre Dillard, traded for him last year. Never worked out in Tennessee. Lions, they released corner Cam Sutton. Post June 1 cut saves $1.5 million in 2024. And that's because he is wanted in Florida currently in connection with a domestic violence case. So
yeah, apparently he's been like missing for like weeks.
Yeah, they've been looking for him for 2 weeks.
Yeah. Rough.
So who knows where he's at? I don't know. If you find him, let me know.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to some money here. Re-signings and extensions. So Seahawks, they re-signed defense tackle Leonard Williams, 3 years, $64.5 million deal, $48.85 million guaranteed. Big money for a guy that doesn't have a lot of career sacks, but when you trade a second round pick for him, you know, probably should do good business and re-sign him, I guess.
Yeah. I was hoping he'd end up a Viking. He was one of the defensive tackles on the free agent market. I was hoping we'd swoop in and get. But yeah, good deal for him.
New Browns wide receiver Jerry Jeudy got an extension, 3 years, $58 million, $41 million fully guaranteed. Great deal for Jeudy. It kind of just is like, is this another Browns gaffe though? Like,
yeah, after making a great trade to get him, they followed it up by a not so great contract for the team. I mean, if he plays the potential, this is a good contract. But again, big if. He has shown a lot to be desired in his current skill set. Now, maybe change of scenery with a lot more stability in Cleveland. It's crazy to think Cleveland's the more stable franchise in this conversation. But maybe with some stability with Cleveland, he finds what he was supposed to be when he was drafted. But yeah, as it stands right now, that's a big risk for Cleveland. That is, I think it's objectively an overpay. But hey, if he does play up to potential and he's that 1-2 punch with Cooper, then hey, maybe we're looking at this as an underpay. But that's a big if. A lot of things have to go right.
And they're paying him to be the number 1 in the future, technically. Cooper's a free agent next year, so
yeah.
The Bills, they re-signed corner Teron Johnson to a 3-year, $31 million extension. Needed to keep him, considering they released Tre'Davious White. Trying to rebuild that secondary in Buffalo this year. The Colts, they re-signed corner Kenny Moore to a 3-year, $30 million deal. He now becomes the highest paid nickel corner in the NFL. Pretty solid deal. The Colts doing a lot of in-house work, re-signing their own guys as opposed to outside free agents. But Eagles, they signed kicker Jake Elliott, 4-year, $24 million extension. Tied for the highest paid kicker in the league, baby. He ties Justin Tucker at $6 million per year. Dude, the kid's great.
He is. I think this is a very good contract for the Eagles.
He has one of the longest legs in the league. has kicked multiple 60-yarders throughout his career. And I think he hit like 98% of field goals last year. He went like 31 of 33.
Yeah, when he made that, I forget. I think they were playing the Bills. When he made that
Yeah.
like 55+ yard kick in the rain, like I was like, no way. My
Yeah.
jaw dropped. I was like, in this weather, he like
59 in the rain.
59, and it was like downpouring. I was like, how's this kid doing it? So yeah, my only big concern is probably just the length. You know, the thing about kickers is, you know, they could be very volatile. So like they could drop like that in production after having a couple of bad games. But hey, if he keeps it up, this is a great deal.
Yeah, he's young. He's still
Yes.
really young. Seahawks, they re-signed tight end Noah Fant, 2 years, $21 million. Thought that was a lot for a guy, 10.5 per year for a guy that's former first round pick. Not produced a ton in his career, but the Packers, they re-signed kick returner Keyshawn Nixon, 3 years, $18 million, $19.2 million max value. I love Keyshawn Nixon. It was very much BS last season that he did not make the Pro Bowl. I had no clue how he didn't make the Pro Bowl because he was definitely the best returner in the NFC. That's my qualm with the Keyshawn Nixon situation.
Okay.
The Jets, they signed linebacker CJ Mosley to a new 2-year, $17.25 million deal. 13.25 guaranteed there for the Jets leader on defense. Bills, they re-signed defense tackle Daquan Jones, 2 years, $16 million, $18 million max value, $10.5 million fully guaranteed. That's a lot of money guaranteed to I think he's 34 years old. So that's a lot of money for an older defensive tackle. Vikings wouldn't have gave him that.
No. We're so smart.
The Patriots, they re-signed linebacker Anthony Jennings, 3 years, $12 million, $24 million max value. So that's one of the bigger disparities I've seen in terms of max versus base value. Probably big sack numbers needed to get to the incentives on that one. But a rotational piece for Coach Strad Mayo's defense now. The Eagles, they signed defensive end Josh Sweat to a new 1-year, $10 million deal, $13 million max value. Love that they were able to keep Josh Sweat on a reworked deal. Not sure if Reddick's still going to get traded or not. They moved his number back, which was really odd. The roster bonus date for Hassan Reddick, they moved that back to April 1st. So it's coming up. We'll see if Reddick gets traded here in the next week or two. The Bucks, they re-signed linebacker Levante David, 1 year, $9 million, $10 million max value. Again, another leader on the defense there. The Bucks, another team that just kind of kept their own guys.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised. I thought the bridge had been burned between these two, this player and team. But yeah, I guess he's back.
The Colts mentioned they kept re-signing their own. They re-signed punter Rigoberto Sanchez, 3 years, $7.5 million. Punters are people too because the Jets, they re-signed punter Thomas Morstead, 2 years, $5 million. And the Eagles, they re-signed their punter Braden Mann, 2 years, $4.2 million.
Big last couple weeks for Pat McAfee.
So yeah, 3 punters getting paid there. The Steelers, they re-signed safety Miles Killebrew, 2 years, $6.5 million. I love Miles Killebrew. He is the best punt blocker in the NFL. Crazy how they scheme him up to get open and get blocks. I don't know how many he has in his career. It seems like it's a lot, though. I feel like he has at least one every single year. So, love Miles Killebrew. And of course, Auburn is tied with Yale. Great. The Dolphins, they re-signed wide receiver Braxton Berrios, 1 year, $3 million. The HBO star there, Braxton Berrios. The Bengals re-signed wide receiver Trenton Irwin, 1 year, $2 million. Trying to fill the void of Tyler Boyd potentially.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't have any numbers for all these rest of these guys, so we'll go through them pretty quickly. The Commanders re-signed special teamer Jeremy Reeves to a 2-year deal, former Pro Bowl special team player. Broncos re-signed tight end Adam Troutman to a 2-year deal, traded for him before training camp last year from the Saints. Re-ups this year. The Bucs re-signed running back Chase Edmonds on a 1-year deal. Jags did the same with running back Dearness Johnson. Chiefs re-signed safety Deion Bush to a 1-year. Patriots re-signed edge rusher Josh Uche on a 1-year deal. Panthers re-signed wide receiver Emir Smith-Marset to a 1-year deal. Love that re-signing. The Panthers' primary punt returner had a punt return touchdown in the game I went to against Chicago. So that was pretty fun to watch. And Auburn is losing now. Cool. The Broncos, they re-signed wide receiver Lil Jordan Humphrey to a 1-year deal. Sean Payton favorite there. Seahawks re-signed corner Artie Burns on a 1-year deal. Colts re-signing edge rusher Jannard Avery to a 1-year deal. Commanders re-signed wide receiver Jamison Crowder to a 1-year deal. Titans re-signed wide receiver Nick Westbrook-Ikhine on a 1-year. Colts did the same with defensive tackle Taven Bryan. Texans with defensive end Derek Barnett. And then a bunch of guys I don't have length for, but re-signing wise, the Dolphins got back running back Salvin Ahmed. Chargers sticking with quarterback Easton Stick as the backup there. Bucks getting quarterback John Wolford back. And the Giants recently re-signing wide receiver Isaiah Hodgins. A big part of their offense last year. Now let's get into the free agents.
Woo!
Big money coming. Titans making a splash for Will Levis, signing Jags wide receiver Calvin Ridley, 4 years, $92 million, $50 million fully guaranteed. He gets 2 cha-chings because he was the big winner. That was crazy. The Titans came out of nowhere. It's supposedly the Jags and was it the Ravens?
I think it was the Ravens.
Yeah. There's the Jags and another team, and it's like, holy crap, the Titans, what? The Titans came out of nowhere and just snagged him from the Jags. So I don't think it's a big loss for the Jags. They have Kirk. They signed Gabe Davis. They don't have to pay all this money to Calvin Ridley now.
Yeah, I didn't think they wanted him long term after this season. I think they were a little disappointed in what they got.
Yeah. But I really do like it for the Titans, though. The Titans, Calvin combined with D-Hop, I think is going to be a good combo. And then they re-signed Westbrook-Ikhine there to be the third guy. Now, I think they still should draft someone to try to be that third guy. But I think schematically and what those 3 guys do, I think it works on paper anyways. Panthers beefing up the O-line. Like I said, another guard signing. Seahawks guard Damian Lewis, 4 years, $53 million, $26.2 million fully guaranteed. So the Panthers have now put $153 million into their guard positions this offseason. I like it. They had to help Bryce up front, especially with a short quarterback. Interior protection is even more paramount, so I like it. And the Jags weren't left out, even though they didn't get Calvin Ridley back. They did sign 49ers defensive tackle Eric Armstead, 3 years, $51 million. Big money there. I know you were pissed Vikings didn't sign him.
Yeah, he was probably my favorite defensive tackle on the free agent market. And honestly, with the deal he got signed, I'm kind of surprised the Vikings didn't go for that. That's pretty team friendly for what he brings.
Yeah, $17 million per year, pretty solid discount on the D tackle market there.
Mm-hmm.
The Texans, they signed Vikings edge rusher Danielle Hunter, 2 years, $49 million, $51 million max, $48 million fully guaranteed. So pretty much all guaranteed there. And go ahead. It's your guy.
Not anymore. I mean, he's on a different team. I mean, I kind of went back and forth with this deal. I feel like that was a deal the Vikings could have matched. But what kind of like threw me off and kind of made me go, I could see why we backed off was the full like 48 million fully guaranteed. That's basically 98% of his contract fully guaranteed here. And with the other signings the Vikings made, I think we made better decisions elsewhere. Sure, I think Danielle Hunter has a ton left in the tank. I think anyone that's going like, oh, he's washed, he's over the hill. I don't think accurately understands how good Danielle Hunter is. Okay. But yeah, it's not the worst let go in the world. I think this is a great deal for the Texans. But yeah, I mean, good for Danielle. He's getting paid the money he deserves, in my opinion. It's just not with the Vikings.
Yeah. I mean, the Texans continue to be winners. The Steelers, they signed Ravens linebacker Patrick Queen, 3 years, $41 million. Absolutely love it. The Steelers have needed to invest in the off-ball linebacker for years. They've tried to draft, hasn't worked out. They've tried low-level free agents, hasn't worked out. They got a good one in Cole Holcomb before he got injured last year, but he's going to be back. And I'm super excited about Patrick Queen because everyone else is pissing him off right now. So he's coming into this season with a big-ass chip on his shoulder because everyone's like, dude, you suck. You can't play without Roquan. You were only good in Baltimore when Roquan came in. And he's like, dude, I'll show you that I can play without Roquan. And he's going to do it against the Ravens twice a year for the next 3 seasons. Super hyped for him. The Falcons signing Bears wide receiver Darnell Mooney, 3 years, $39 million, 26 fully guaranteed. Kirk gets a weapon. And I don't like that deal, though. Darnell Mooney ain't worth $13 million a year. I can tell you that.
Yeah, I don't like this signing for the Falcons. I feel like Darnell Mooney is just not that good to get this contract. I don't know. I'm kind of getting Jerry Jeudy contract vibes out of this one.
Yeah, I mean, Gabe Davis signed for the same thing.
Yeah.
And, you know, while Gabe Davis is just as probably inconsistent as Darnell Mooney, Gabe Davis, much better production throughout his career. The Titans, they signed Bengals corner Chidobe Awuzie, 3 years, 36 million, 23 guaranteed there. Another good signing by Tennessee. They lost Sean Murphy Bunting in free agency. So I think they're doing a good job there. Ran Carthon and company in the new regime with Coach Callahan. The Eagles signing familiar face. Lions safety CJ Gardner-Johnson back in Philly. 3 years, $33 million max value on the deal. I love it. The safety was probably the number one need on the Eagles in the offseason, and they got a guy that loves Philadelphia, and you know, I don't know. I really like the signing though.
Yeah, it's a pretty solid signing. I don't know. I laughed when you said a guy that loves Philadelphia because of his comments he made while streaming one day. He said, "Oh, one thing I'm not going to miss about Philadelphia is the fans." But hey,
He's made up with them. He's made up with them.
kiss and make up. They'll be all right.
Yeah, and the Eagles fans, seeing what happened last year, are excited for him to be back.
Mhm.
I cannot believe my national champion is going to lose.
You had Auburn as natties?
One of my three, yes. Yeah.
Oh man, you're insane.
No, they were playing well for a good part of the game.
Looks like Marquette's opponent might be Colorado. Oh,
Yeah.
never mind. It's gonna be an interesting one. I'm kind of watching both games right now.
Hopefully they play Colorado. I picked Colorado. The Cardinals, they signed Bengals offense tackle Jonah Williams, 2 years, $30 million, $19 million guaranteed. And there you go. Paris Johnson to the left, Jonah Williams on the right, Kyler's protected.
Yeah, that was a big question mark going into the offseason was the possible, the possibility of their current left tackle at the time. I forget what was his name. We talked about him earlier.
DJ Humphries. They released
DJ Humphries, yeah. Not being there, it's like, okay, are we going to retain him or are we going to move on? When are we going to have that answered? And they got that answered, which is good. You want an answer on both tackle positions this time of year.
The Lions, they signed Bengals defensive tackle DJ Reader, 2 years, $27.25 million, $9 million guaranteed there. And that was one of the needs on defense for Detroit. They really needed an edge. They needed help opposite of Aiden Hutchinson, but now, they're going to get some help interior to shore up the run defense, which had been a problem in Detroit for Aaron Glenn, but also help Aiden Hutchinson maybe get less attention to his side.
Mm-hmm.
I know every defensive tackle signing, you were just cringing that it wasn't the Vikings.
Yeah, I really was. I was like, come on, I want this guy. I want that. I need someone. I like Harrison Phillips. Don't get me wrong. I really like Harrison Phillips. So it's like, I want a little upgrade,
Yeah, because we have another one. The Bengals getting DT back. They signed Texans defensive tackle Sheldon Rankins, 2 years, $26 million. Coming off a career season in Houston. I think he had 8.5 sacks last year. Really solid signing by Cincinnati there.
Holy cow. Florida just tied it.
No bueno.
No bueno.
The Bills, they signed Commanders wide receiver Curtis Samuel, 3 years, $24 million. $30 million max value, $15 million guaranteed. I really like that. I think that he's going to pair well with Stephon Diggs and whoever they draft. But hopefully he can stay on the field like he has the last couple of years for Washington. But I think Josh Allen's really going to like him in Buffalo there.
Josh Allen. Nah, this is Mitchell Trubisky's team now. I'm just kidding.
The 49ers, they signed Bills edge rusher Leonard Floyd, 2 years, $24 million. So there you go. There's the help that Nick Bosa gets every year. Chase Young out, Leonard Floyd in. And he's had a crazy career. Like, he's never not been productive anywhere he goes. So I assume that he's going to have at least 8 sacks in San Francisco.
Yeah. I remember he was very productive when he won a Super Bowl with the Rams. I mean, he wasn't opposite Aaron Donald because he was a defensive tackle, but yeah, he really benefited having very productive line mates, and he's going to have that here in San Francisco.
Yeah, he's opposite Von Miller in that Super Bowl.
Yeah, Von Miller, man. Ugh. Talk about Millers.
The Panthers making another splash on defense, signing Broncos linebacker Josie Jewell, 3 years, $22.75 million, $10 million fully guaranteed. I love Josie Jewell, and if my screen weren't frozen, you could see how much I love Josie Jewell.
I can feel the excitement through my screen.
Huh?
It's actually making me uncomfortable.
I absolutely love this guy. I've loved this guy since he came out of Iowa back in, I think it was like the 2018 season draft, 2017, whatever it was. This guy's sideline to sideline linebacker. The Panthers needed that with Shaq Thompson coming off of injury, losing Frankie Louvu in free agency as well. And I cannot believe the Auburn Tigers are going to freaking lose the game.
Colorado just won.
Good. It doesn't help that my national champion's gone.
Time.
But anyways, Josie Jewell, absolute beast of a player. Really excited for him in Carolina. The Rams signing a familiar face, Jags corner Darius Williams, 3 years, $22.5 million, $30 million max value. Corner was definite area of need on the Rams defense. They got some spotty play from some of their vet free agents, and guy that I'm blanking on right now, the 7th rounder out of Georgia last year. But anyways, yeah, I think they're going to like having Darius Williams back.
Yeah, that was a massive need for them. Are you talking about Jason Taylor for the Rams?
Jason Taylor, the safety?
You said 7th round pick.
Maybe it wasn't the 7th. Maybe it was 6th or undrafted. I don't know. It's from Georgia. Maybe it wasn't. It wasn't last year. Maybe it was 22.
It was 22. Let me check.
Yeah. But anyways, Panthers, another defensive signing. They signed Giants defense tackle Ashawn Robinson, 3 years, $22.5 million, beefing up the interior on both sides of the ball as Carolina. Going to slide him right into next to Derek Brown there on that Ejiro Evero defense.
Mm-hmm.
The Dolphins, they signed Titans center Aaron Brewer, 3 years, $21 million. Center was a big area of need for Miami. They lost all 3 interior players. Connor Williams, the center last year, goes to New York for the Jets. So they needed a center there in Miami. I thought they were going to hold out. And maybe draft Jackson Powers Johnson in the first round. Mm-hmm. I kind of would have liked that better. Aaron Brewer's been around the league, but it doesn't have the upside that a JPJ would.
Yeah, they probably are looking for more immediate impact. They probably see JPJ and it's like, okay, we don't want to spend time developing while we probably consider ourselves in the contention window. I mean, they still could. I think it wouldn't be the best use of assets, but they still could.
Yeah. The Jets, talked about this earlier, they signed Cowboys left tackle Tyron Smith, 1 year, $20 million max deal there. I wasn't sure how to feel about it. I'm happy that he's out of the NFC East. However, this is why I would still draft a tackle at 10, because how many games is Tyron going to play? Like that's the issue. Like he played his most games last year since 2019. I think he played 13 games. But like you need him for 17 for A-Rod. Like go draft the tackle just in case. And then you're set up for the future at left tackle as well.
Yeah, I definitely see Tyron Smith as more of a stopgap option for them, especially with the 1 year deal. I think they're just like, okay, we need immediate help right now, and we're hoping and praying, Tyron Smith is actually healthy for once. But yeah, there's a reason it's a 1 year deal.
The 49ers, they signed Panthers edge rusher Yetur Gross-Matos, 2 years, $18 million deal. So once again, more edge rush help for San Fran. Leonard Floyd plus YGM there. I was sad to see Yetur go because he was one of those guys where, one of my teams actually drafted a Penn State player, and I was happy about it. Second round pick, former there, but was not to be in Carolina. Oh my Jesus. I cannot believe Auburn just lost.
Sorry to tell you.
That's ridiculous. The Jets, couple signings here. They signed Ravens guard John Simpson, 2 years, $18 million. Another interior presence there. So Simpson's going to slide into guard. Connor Williams goes to center. They also signed Giants quarterback Tyrod Taylor, 2 years, $18 million as well. Veteran backup for A-Rod. I think he's gonna like that a lot more than Zach Wilson. Mm-hmm. A-Rod doesn't really like to mentor. He likes the older guys that can talk to him, like, and know what he's talking about. So I think he's gonna like to have Tyrod there.
To be fair, I don't know many people that know what A-Rod's talking about, so we'll see how that works.
I mentioned this earlier. The Cardinals, they signed Titans corner Sean Murphy-Bunting, 3 years, $17.4 million. Love that signing for Arizona. They've needed corner help for a while. And Murphy-Bunting, solid year in Tennessee last year, and going to get a good chance on a multi-year deal in Arizona. The Dolphins also signing a corner, Commanders corner, Kendall Fuller, 2 years, $16.5 million there to pair him with Jalen Ramsey. So love that signing. Xavier Howard is free agent currently still, but Kendall Fuller, solid option there for Miami. The big one, the Ravens. They signed a Titans running back Derrick Henry, 2 years, $16 million deal. $20 million max value with $9 million fully guaranteed.
That's a great signing, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if they run the ball more. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of Derrick Henry running from the shotgun, though, which is what they did a lot of under Todd Monken now. So, I don't know.
We'll see. But I like this deal. I think Ravens have just been looking for a traditional running back for basically the entirety of Lamar Jackson's tenure in Baltimore, and getting a guy like Henry, sure, not in his prime, but I think he really brings a lot that the Ravens have been kind of missing.
Mm-hmm. His former team, the Titans, they signed Chargers linebacker Kenneth Murray, 2 years, 15.5 million, 18 million max value there. Good signing at former first rounder. Hasn't really lived up to the hype though. But Titans needed off-ball linebacker help.
Mm-hmm.
The Jets, they signed Chargers wide receiver Mike Williams, 1 year, $15 million deal. I was so pissed, man. I wanted him in Carolina so badly. But he went to the Jets first. Guy from Twitter sent him a Taylor ham and egg sandwich, and it was history.
Sometimes bribery with food works. I mean, how do you think I got into law school?
The Panthers, though, they signed Vikings defensive end DJ Wonnum, 2 years, $14.5 million deal. Tell me about DJ Wonnum.
I love DJ. I hated seeing him go. Like seeing him leave, my jaw dropped because I completely forgot he was a free agent. I genuinely thought he was under control for a few more years. And for a 4th-round pick, he really, really found his groove. And last year, tied his career high in sacks of 8, career high in tackles 62. I mean, the kid is good. You're going to really like him in Carolina. He's young. He's getting into his prime. He can get to the quarterback. I mean, as a Viking fan, man, I'm more devastated about losing Wonnum than I am about Daniil Hunter.
Yeah, former pick out of South Carolina. I remember him coming out. Surprising with the Vikings. The Rams, they signed Commander safety Cameron Curl, 2 years, $13 million. Again, another good secondary signing. Cam Curl's a guy that can play in the box or as a single high safety. Has pretty good ball production throughout his career. And I think LA is going to like him sitting back there. The Saints, they signed 49ers edge rusher Chase Young, 1 year, $13 million, fully guaranteed deal there. He's going to have neck surgery. I guess he already did. That was why Chase Young didn't really have a big market. Teams knew about his neck and that he would have to have surgery on it. That's why the 49ers did not re-sign him. I think there was interest there, but they wouldn't clear him. And that happened with other teams as well, that their doctors would not clear him. Saints said, we're good with it. And so they signed him.
Yeah, I mean, this probably explains a lot about why Chase Young was having production issues in the playoffs, too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The Bears, they signed Chargers tight end Gerald Everett, 2 years, $12 million, $14 million max value, $6.1 million fully guaranteed. So there you go. There's what you wanted for Chicago. 12 personnel every play.
Yes. I mean, they can still do Brock Bowers.
No,
13, man.
No.
Yeah, as you mentioned, I thought they would be a very good 12 personnel, especially with a rookie quarterback coming in. I thought that meant Brock Bowers. But with this signing, it's clear they're going to go elsewhere. I like Gerald Everett. He's going to be a very good good mesh with Cole Kmet. That's a very good tight end room for Chicago. And damn it, I hate seeing my rifle that I'm used to pushing around get better.
At least the Packers still own the Bears. The Seahawks, they signed Jaguar safety Rayshon Jenkins, 2 years, $12 million. Complete reset for Seattle at the safety position. Jamal Adams released. Quandre Diggs released. So they get Rayshon Jenkins to try to help fill that void there. Mm-hmm. And the safety market has been horrendous. Mm-hmm. Other than CJ Gardner-Johnson, like, there are a ton of safeties out there available that just are not getting signed right now because of the lack of market in terms of money at the safety position currently.
Yeah.
Your Vikings.
My boys.
They signed 49ers quarterback Sam Darnold, 1 year, $10 million deal.
Yeah, you probably want my thoughts. I mean, classic bridge contract. This is just a contract to have a QB that could be starting caliber in case we do draft a rookie quarterback and he's just not ready day one, which honestly, even if we do get a top flight quarterback prospect, I'm not gunning to start him day one. I like Darnold. He showed flashes. He seems like a Kevin O'Connell kind of QB. I mean, 1 year, 10 mil. That's good. I like it. Nothing much else to say. It's like, all right, decent QB.
I will say though, he lost to Brett Rippon last year.
But
Just-
no one. Yeah, you
Just
stop it. Don't make me pull up them game stats.
The Bucks, they signed a familiar face, Jet safety Jordan Whitehead, 2 years, $9 million, $10.5 million max value. Excellent game last year for the Jets and against the Bills. 3 interceptions there in that one. And the Bucks trying to get someone to pair on the back end with Antoine Winfield Jr., their franchise tagged player there. So I know I'm finally back, right? Let's go to the Dolphins. They signed Bucks edge rusher Shaq Barrett, 1 year, $9 million. And I like that. The Bucks, he's going to be a guy that's going to come in early in the season and start a lot of games because of the injuries to Bradley Chubb and Jalen Phillips coming off those serious knee injuries that both of those guys had. So they're going to need Shaq early on in the year to help out for that Miami defense there. The Colts signing the comeback player of the year, Browns quarterback Joe Flacco, 1 year, $8.7 million, $4.5 million guaranteed there. That's an interesting one. I mean, they needed someone other than Sam Ehlinger, I guess. They didn't like just having Sam Ehlinger behind Anthony Richardson. So Flacco's a guy that proved he can still play last year, and we'll see if he needs to play based off how Anthony plays.
Or if he plays and stays healthy.
Yeah. The Commanders signing Seahawks linebacker Bobby Wagner, 1 year, $8.5 million max deal, $6 million guaranteed. Makes a ton of sense. Dan Quinn knows Bobby from their Seattle days, and Bobby really hasn't dropped off. He still is like about 100 tackle guy every year, and no matter where he's been. The Panthers, they signed Packers off to tackle Josh Nijman, 2 years, $8 million, $15 million max value, $5 million guaranteed. Really like this signing. I know a lot of my Packers friends love Josh Nijman. Panthers, however, getting a guy that can be a solid swing tackle on the team there. The Browns, they signed Vikings linebacker Jordan Hicks, 2 years, $8 million. Another Vikings defensive loss, Jimmy.
This one's not too bad. Hicks kind of lost production this last year, especially with Pace coming in and just really playing well.
Yeah.
This isn't like losing Wanham or Hunter. This is like, this is a guy that didn't really do much.
Well, I didn't lose Harrison Smith.
Yes.
They restructured him to keep him. The Bengals. The Bengals, they signed Colts running back Zach Moss, 2 years, $8 million. That is the move that precipitated the trade to Houston, which was very interesting. Zach Moss, while he played very well in Indy last year, not even close to Joe Mixon in my mind. The Patriots, they signed Commanders quarterback Jacoby Brissett, 1 year, $8 million. And that makes a lot of sense, right? They need a bridge quarterback. He's a guy that knows New England well and can come in, start a game or however many until the rookie is ready.
Mhm.
Eagles, I love this. They signed Buccaneers linebacker Devin White, 1 year, $7.5 million max deal. Absolutely love it. Eagles, just like their cross-state counterparts, they have needed to invest at the off-ball linebacker spot for a while. I was hoping it's going to be Jeremiah Trotter Jr. I hope it still is Jeremiah Trotter Jr. in the draft. Pair him with Nakobe Dean, Devin White, settled. Even though it's 3-4 now under Vic Fangio, but the Vikings signing Packers running back Aaron Jones, 1 year, $7 million.
Yes. Finally, a running back who isn't complete ass.
You know what's funny though? Every time I do mock drafts, the Vikings draft like 3 running backs every time.
Dude, we're getting scared, man. We were getting scared. We had to do it.
Every time I look at the Vikings draft picks and I'm like, running back, okay. Running back again. All right. Running back again, okay.
Damn, all right. It's like, if you really want him, I guess.
The best player available. They're all running backs.
Dude, we can't deal with another year of bad running backs. We desperately need another one.
The Seahawks, they signed Dolphins linebacker Jerome Baker, 1 year, $7 million. Good signing by Seattle. Jerome's coming off an injury last year. However, they lost Bobby Wagner, lost Jordan Hicks in free agency, or not Jordan Brooks. And so, yeah, needed some off-ball linebacker help there. So Jerome Baker. The Chiefs, big signing. They signed Cardinals wide receiver Hollywood Brown, 1 year, $7 million, $3.5 million guaranteed there. And he's the speedster. He's the speed that the Chiefs needed to add to the possession receiver in Rashee Rice. And so, yeah, we'll see. Obviously, the Chiefs still probably going to go with the wide receiver in the first round as well.
Mhm.
Texans, they signed Chiefs punter Tommy Townsend, 2 years, $6 million. More punter news. Why not?
Why not?
And Tommy's a good one. The Commanders, they signed Eagles quarterback Marcus Mariota, 1 year, $6 million. $10 million max. Another team, just like the Patriots. Bridge quarterback, guy that can start if needed, if the quarterback's not ready to go. And sure, he gets to play the Eagles if he's starting.
Guess so.
The Bengals, they signed Panther safety Von Bell, 1 year, $6 million, fully guaranteed. However, the Bengals are paying the minimum for him. The Panthers are paying the majority of his salary this year. So good deal for Cincinnati, getting a safety. And the one they're familiar with, played with Cincinnati before, got drafted by them. Or not drafted by them, signed with them from New Orleans a couple years ago. Panthers, though, they got, already talked about Nick Scott. They got another safety, though, Rams safety Jordan Fuller, 1 year, $5.25 million. I like both of those safety deals for Carolina. They lost Jeremy Chin. So those two guys going to fill out the back end there for Panthers. The Giants, they signed Seahawks quarterback Drew Lock, 1 year, $5 million. Guaranteed deal. Yeah, I mean, they needed a backup with Tyrod going to the Jets. So insert Drew Lock.
Yeah, I like that.
Saints, they signed Chiefs linebacker Willie Gay, 1 year, $5 million max value deal there. That's a really solid one. They kept Demario Davis on a restructured deal. So Willie Gay, I think, has been kind of underrated in Kansas City. he has been overshadowed a little bit by Nick Bolton the last couple of years, but I think solid player that can slide in beside DeMario and create a good duo in the middle there for New Orleans. Panthers, they signed Jags edge rusher Kayvon Chason, 1 year, $5 million max deal. Why not? Taking a shot on a former first round pick there. The Eagles, they signed Patriots wide receiver Devontae Parker, 1 year, $4.69 million deal. Eagles are going to only pay $1.2 million of that. So the veteran minimum. And I like it. He's not going to be asked to do what he was asked to do in New England, where he was asked to be the guy. He's going to be asked to be 3, maybe even 4 in the Eagles system. The Eagles have been desperately looking for a third guy to pair with AJ and Devontae for a while, and they just haven't been able to find that guy. So maybe it's Devontae, maybe it's someone they draft. Who knows? The Rams, they signed Raiders quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo, 1 year, $4.5 million, $12 million max value. I really like that. I think he's good in the Sean McVay system, and veteran backup for Matt Stafford, who's been pretty healthy in LA.
Yeah.
Patriots, they signed Raiders tight end Austin Hooper, 1 year, $4.25 million. Guy that they're gonna place him with Hunter Henry and maybe bring back the old Patriots, the early 2010s 12 personnel system. And Gerard Mayo.
Here we go.
And Gerard Mayo was playing. No. The Browns, they signed Saints quarterback Jameis Winston, 1 year, $4 million guaranteed deal there. Famous Jameis in Cleveland. It's very odd. For one, him in a Browns uniform for some reason doesn't really look that great. And for two, Jameis plus Cleveland, it doesn't seem like his kind of city. like I don't know. He's been in the South his whole career.
Yeah. I don't like this signing for the Browns. I get it. I think they probably wanted to bring back Flacco, but Flacco got paid double Jameis, and you just needed a backup, and Jameis was probably the best available at this point. I was like, I hope I don't have to see him play.
Probably be better than Deshaun Watson. That's
Gosh, I hope not.
Let's see, where were we at here? The Titans, they signed Patriots kicker Nick Folk, 1 year, $3.755 million, $4.13 million max. Excellent year, a couple years in New England, coming back to Tennessee where he kicked before that.
Mm-hmm.
Your Vikings, they got a defense tackle. They signed Raiders defensive tackle Jerry Tillery, 1 year, $3.75 million.
I guess it's a prove it deal. I don't like Tillery a lot. He's had issues in the past. He hasn't really performed. I guess to me, this kind of shows that maybe they're looking to draft later in the draft defensive tackle. Maybe like someone like a Mekhi Wingo if he falls. I was like, I don't like Tillery.
Well, if they would keep that second first round pick, there's a guy named Byron Murphy.
That's one of the names I've heard being thrown out. I like Byron a lot.
Johnny Newton is also a guy that should be available in that range. The Titans, they signed Steelers quarterback Mason Rudolph, 1 year, $3.62 million deal. That was an interesting one, I thought. They're just going to say, we messed up. Drafting what's-his-face in the third round 2 years ago. Malik Willis.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe they're going to compete. Who knows? But Mason's definitely got the experience on him. So we'll see. We'll see what Tennessee does behind Will Levis. But, yeah, I thought that one was interesting. The Commanders, they signed Jaguars kicker Brandon McManus, 1 year, $3.6 million. That one was kind of funny because the Jags then ended up signing Commanders kicker Joey Sly. I thought I had that one on here, but maybe not. Oh yeah, 1 year deal for Joey Sly with Washington or with the Jags. So I thought that was funny that they kind of just switched kickers in free agency. But bro, McManus is such a beast. The Browns, they signed Bills running back Nyheim Hines, 1 year, $3.5 million. Sure, why not? They're gonna need help early in the season. Nick Chubb coming back from his injury, so
I always liked Hines.
I mean, Hines coming off his own injury as well. So
that's true.
Eagles signed Saints linebacker Zach Bond, 1 year, $3.5 million. Another off-ball linebacker, man. However, I would like to see Zach Bond go to an outside linebacker role like I thought he was going to when he got drafted by the Saints. I thought him coming out of Wisconsin, I thought that he would be one of those Wisconsin outside linebackers, but he ended up playing a lot more off-ball will type linebacker instead. So if the Eagles are going to go to this 3-4 under Coach Fangio, I think the Zach Bond signing should be a pass rush role with the ability to drop instead of off-ball. That's just me, though. Raiders, they signed Browns tight end Harrison Bryant, 1 year, $3.25 million, $4 million max. Sure, the Raiders still are a team that I have no bearing on, and they seem to have no direction in terms of where they're going. The Bengals, they signed Patriots tight end Mike Gesicki, 1 year, $3.25 million. Really like that. I really like that for Cincinnati. They really haven't had a tight end in a couple of years. Irv Smith didn't work out, and Hayden Hurst 2 years ago was really their last best tight end player. So why not take a chance on Gesicki, who played well before Mike McDaniel came into Miami and didn't really have a role in that offense, and then never really found anything in New England. The Seahawks, they signed Brown center Nick Harris, 1 year, $2.51 million, $3.26 million max value. Center was a position of need for Seattle. They got a guy that's played quite a bit in the league in Harris. The 49ers, they signed Vikings quarterback Josh Dobbs, 1 year, $2.25 million, fully guaranteed deal there. I know you're very sad to lose the Pastronaut.
Yeah. The best 2 weeks of this last season for the Falcons and the Saints game, thanks to the Pastronaut. Oh, well. I mean, we swapped backup quarterbacks, so good for us.
You paid a little bit more, though.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't want Dobbs anyway, so.
The Steelers, we're getting into the ones that I don't have numbers for. The Steelers, they signed Texans punter Cameron Johnston to a 3-year deal. I love Cameron Johnston. Super happy he's back in Pennsylvania with the Eagles a while ago, and I was so pissed that the Eagles let him walk in free agency. However, goes to the Texans, plays very well, comes back to Pennsylvania, and now with the Steelers, who were in need of a punter with the Presley Harvin release. Steelers also signed Dolphin safety Deshaun Elliott to a 2-year deal. I like that. They needed some help opposite of Minkah Fitzpatrick. Deshaun's a guy that's played well in a third safety role in Miami more. The Saints, they signed Dolphins wide receiver Cedric Wilson to a 2-year deal, so trying to get some help for Derek Carr there in New Orleans. Jets, they signed 49ers defensive tackle Javon Kinlaw to a 1-year deal. There's another defensive tackle off the board. The Chiefs, they signed Bengals tight end Irv Smith Jr. to a 1-year deal. some help depth behind Kelsey. And I really think he's going to be the third tight end because they like what's his face? Noah. I cannot remember the backup for the Chiefs. Anyways, the Giants, they signed Patriot safety Jalen Mills on a 1-year deal. Sure, back in the NFC East. Noah Gray.
Yeah, that's right. Damn
it. The Dolphins, they signed a rival Bills safety Jordan Poyer to a 1-year deal, switching sides there. So Deshaun Elliott out, Jordan Poyer in, helping out alongside Javon Holland back there. The Bears, they signed Jets quarterback Brett Rippon to a 1-year deal. And yes, he was a Jets quarterback. While he also played for a couple other teams last year. Have to think Tyson Bagent's going to beat him out, though.
Yeah, I see that happening.
The Browns, they signed Seahawks linebacker Devin Bush to a 1-year deal. Sure. Giants, they signed Eagles tight end Jack Stoll on a 1-year deal. I was very disappointed to hear Jack Stoll was not returning. Loved him as tight end 3 in our system, so we'll see where he slots in behind Darren Waller there in New York. 49ers signed Packers linebacker Devondre Campbell on a 1-year deal. They need some help. He's going to play early on in the season. Dre Greenlaw coming off the Achilles. Steelers signed Falcons wide receiver Van Jefferson on a 1-year deal. Sure, take a flyer. Trying to help Russ out, get him some weapons there. If he can return to his Rams form, I think that'd be awesome for Pittsburgh. He sucked with Atlanta last year. The Chargers, they signed Texans linebacker Denzel Perriman on a 1-year deal. Former second-round pick of the Chargers, coming back to that team after they lost Kenneth Murray and Eric Kendricks in free agency. Browns signed Ravens quarterback Tyler Huntley on a 1-year deal. So finally, Huntley leaves Baltimore. I think it's a good option there. Unfortunately for him, he's going to be QB3. It's the only bad thing. Unless it's a Huntley versus Winston backup quarterback battle in training camp.
Ooh.
I mentioned the Jags signing Joey Sly. The Chargers, they signed Panthers center Bradley Bozeman on a 1-year deal. Needed help there. A guy that's been around the league and started a bunch of games. The Lions signing Ravens guard Kevin Zeitler on a 1-year deal. I like that a lot. They lost Jonah Jackson in free agency, so they needed a guard to replace him up front. Titans signed 49ers defense tackle Sebastian Joseph Day on a 1-year deal. That's a guy the Vikings could have got.
Yeah, he was someone I kind of liked.
The Bengals signed the Patriots offensive tackle Trent Brown on a 1-year deal. That is massive for Cincinnati to get Brown to solidify the right side there for Joe Burrow. Seahawks signed Titan safety Kayvon Wallace on a 1-year deal. Mentioned, again, another safety signing in Seattle, position they needed a lot. The Eagles taking a flyer on Giants wide receiver Paris Campbell on a 1-year deal. So that's 2 1-year contracts now. Eagles just trying some stuff out. Paris Campbell, Devontae Parker now in Philly. Mm-hmm. Chargers signed Titans corner Christian Fulton to a 1-year deal. That's a big move for GM Joe Ortiz there. Fulton coming off a weird season. I think he was the guy that sat for most of the second half of the year because his dad's house burned down and it was a very weird situation. But hopefully he's got all that personal stuff figured out and can get on the field with LA. The Panthers, I mentioned, signed Nick Scott from the Bengals on a 1-year deal. Other signings, the Bills signed Eagles linebacker Nicholas Morrow. Commanders signing Cowboys edge rusher Dante Fowler Jr. and Panthers safety /linebacker Jeremy Chin. Giants signed Bills wide receiver Isaiah McKenzie. Bills signing Falcons wide receiver Mac Hollins. The Panthers signed Bills corner Dane Jackson. Love that signing. Cowboys signed Chargers linebacker Eric Kendricks. That's their Leighton Vander Esch replacement. There. Saints signed Bears quarterback Nathan Peterman. So there's Derek Carr's backup.
Peter meme continues.
The Chargers, they signed Panthers tight end Hayden Hurst. Make sure you go on Twitter and look at the jersey swap on him. That was one of the best.
Very good. Very
The Broncos, they signed Commanders linebacker Cody Barton. That's an excellent signing. Cody Barton's a guy that's played very well in both Seattle and Washington. Now gets a chance in with Coach Payton there in Denver. Patriots signed your guy, Vikings wide receiver KJ Osborne.
Yeah, I mean, I liked him, but with Jordan Addison coming in, he kind of became redundant. And I really like guys like Powell and possibly bringing someone else to be wide receiver 3. I don't know what this does for the Patriots. I mean, if this is a weapon you bring in to help a rookie QB, this is not much. But I mean, he's a solid QB, wide receiver 3. That's his peak.
Well, they don't have much, so yeah,
yeah. If I'm the Patriots, I'm like, if this guy's wide receiver 1 on depth chart week 1, you have screwed up.
Yeah. How about bring back the Beebe? Chad Beebe should be your number 3 wide receiver.
I kid you not. Chad Beebe played not high school basketball, like youth basketball with my brother.
There you go.
Don Beebe is from my hometown.
The Seahawks, they signed Cowboys defensive tackle Jonathan Hankins. The Vikings, they signed Panthers corner Shaq Griffin. There you go.
I really like this signing. He had a really good season.
The Browns, they signed Bears running back Deontay Foreman. So there you go. There's your week 1 starting duo for Cleveland with Nick Chubb presumably not going to be ready.
Hines and Foreman?
Yeah, Deontay
not
Foreman.
Too bad.
Yeah. I mean, that's a good punch. Deontay.
It's good. And if Chubb comes back and you keep all 3, you got a pretty good running back for him.
Yeah, early downs for Foreman, third downs for Hines.
Mm-hmm.
The Ravens, they signed Texans offensive tackle Josh Jones. So there's some O-line help there. Texans, they signed Panthers corner CJ Henderson. And your Vikings signing Brahmas kicker John Parker Romo.
All right.
So
I'm not a fan of Greg Joseph. I think he's 1 foot out the door. So I like bringing in Parker, see what he's got.
Yeah. And then just some visits to end here. I know it's been way too long, but that's what happens when you miss 2 shows and free agency starts. The Panthers and the Jets, they are both hosted Ravens edge rusher Jadeveon Clowney for a visit. Hopefully it's the Panthers because, they signed a couple guys with Wanham and I forget Caleb Chason. But Clowney would definitely be the bigger splash and a guy that's been a lot more productive than both of those guys for a longer period of time.
Mm-hmm.
Packers running back A.J. Dillon. He has interest from the Giants, Colts, and Cowboys. Why not the Vikings? Why aren't the Vikings on that list? Why don't they want to reunite him with Aaron Jones?
Yeah, I don't know either. That actually makes a lot of sense. What are we doing? I could see us, if we want to get another running back, I could see us drafting one. But I think we like Jones. I think we like Chandler. And I think we like, what's his name? Not Nwangu. He's more of a kick returner. The guy we got last year in the draft. What was his name?
I don't know.
From UAE. Dwayne McBride. That's who.
Oh, well, yeah. I don't really like the Colts in that one. The Cowboys, I could see that. I think the Giants out of those 3 makes the most sense. Considering they have Devin Singletary, they need more of a pounder, which that's what A.J. Dillon is. So The Steelers interested in Bengals wide receiver Tyler Boyd. I've been waiting for this to drop. Like interest has been apparently there for a while, and I would love it. Bring another Pittsburgh guy back to the city. Love having the Pitt Panthers play in for the Steelers. The Bengals, they hosted Texans defensive tackle Taylor Tart. The Panthers and the Ravens both hosted Cowboys wide receiver Michael Gallup. I would like that for the Panthers-ish. He's definitely a Z type that can play on the outside, but the Panthers still need more of like a baller that's like a big bully ball kind of guy.
I would actually like Gallup as, on the Vikings wide receiver 3. Kind of surprised we're not looking into it, but.
A lot of visits for Bills corner Tre'Davious White, Rams, Raiders, Titans, and the Giants all involved on him. No surprise. I mean, he's former All-Pro, Pro Bowl corner. So, the Titans, they hosted Saints guard Andrus Peat for a visit, and the Ravens hosting Lions wide receiver Josh Reynolds on a visit, trying to fill the OBJ void there in Baltimore.
Yeah.
We're not doing that.
Yeah, we're good.
That's why I switched this. I forgot to take that slide out. But anyways, that is the show for today. 2 hours and 40 minutes. Fantastic.
Woo! Thank you for joining our marathon today.
I know. It was a lot. Won't be that going forward, but
don't worry. If you download us on the podcast app, you can listen to us on 2 times speed.
24/7. I'm here. Anyways, so on Monday, we'll be, of course, dropping our mock draft Monday show round 3. This is our 3rd one that we're gonna do. And we'll also start our mock draft series for team-wise mock draft series. So 3-round mocks every show from Monday until the draft, pretty much, with some misses in there because of Easter and whatnot. But so Monday we're going to do the Bears and the Commanders. Next Friday, we'll be back on here talking Patriots and Cardinals. Maybe we'll even get our guy Colin Schultz on.
Ooh.
See if he can take a bit out of his busy schedule. And also next Friday, it is the UFL preview. So I will probably be talking way too much because
I don't know shit. I'll just be nodding along like, yeah, that makes sense.
But yeah, I'll be previewing all 8 teams, kind of looking at their rosters, looking at guys that I like. And then both of us, I don't care if you don't know, but maybe me saying stuff will convince you. And we will be picking the winners of both the XFL and the USFL divisions. We'll be picking the 4 playoff teams. And then we will pick our UFL champions next week as well.
Gotta do some research, I guess.
Yeah. So don't forget to follow us on all our social media at FAA Podcast on Instagram and X, FAA_bets on X as well. FAApodcast.com is our website. You can check us out here on YouTube, Facebook, X, and Instagram, as well as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, etc. And last thing I want to say is, which I forgot to say this in the beginning of the show, but condolences to the Hermo family out in Oregon. We lost Troy Hermo, who was my good friend through betting Twitter, sports betting Twitter. Lost him on Monday morning, so that was tough to see, but awesome person. Helped everyone that he could. Continued to help people bet throughout his cancer, and I just it was tough to on a tough Monday for me personally, with a lot of flight issues. It was just piling on top of that. But yeah, prayers to the Hermo family out there in Oregon. All right. We'll see y'all back on Monday.